Hey there, this is Jenna Campo at Flourish 365. And I wanted to come on tonight, not so much to talk about what I'm doing right now, but to give you just a little bit more of my story because I realized that in my first video, I didn't really go into detail. And I think that's important because so many of us have been on a roller coaster, whether it be with attempts at weight loss or um, digging through whatever it takes to recover our vitality. And uh, I'm sure from your own journey that that can be really difficult and we can get a lot of mixed messages. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my own journey, and I hope that it's encouraging, just gives you a little bit of an idea of where I'm coming from, and just a clear picture of my journey to where I'm at now, which is still a place of learning. I don't have all the answers. I'm not in a place to counsel anyone else. This is just my place to share my experiences, hopefully things that are encouraging to myself and to others, and maybe can inform you on your journey so that you don't make some of the same mistakes that I have. So I would say that the first time that the idea of being on any kind of a restricted diet came onto my radar when I was almost finished with high school. And my mom had had her own journey with struggling with her weight and trying to find something that would be helpful to her. And she came upon a particular program that was super encouraging to her. I came home from summer camp that year, and she was just really fired up. She felt revitalized, refreshed, and just a whole new track. I could see her excitement. And she suggested that I also do it and see how I felt. And that was the first time that it ever even occurred to me to go on a diet. Okay. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background. He's having fun running around on our farm, and I'm sitting right by our living room window. So and our little indoor dog has to chime in too. That's the reality. So I went ahead and I went on this protocol, lots and lots of fresh fruit and, whole foods. It was not a gimmick. It was not super processed. It was all about fresh fruits, very specific things in a specific order. And I felt good. And I did actually take off some weight, and I experienced that exhilaration of getting into a size smaller and all that comes with that. And so that was my first experience. Then I went off to college, got out on my own, really didn't think anything of a particular dieting protocol after that until I had my first child. And we all know that as we go through pregnancy, we experience different things with our weight, maybe depending on who we're listening to or who's counseling us. We may be told different things. And I'm talking at 30 years ago now. So there were just certain common counsels. I realize now that there was a lot of information out there back then that would have been helpful, but I didn't really know where to look. And so I put on a considerable amount of weight during my pregnancy, around 50 to 60 pounds. And after our daughter was born, that weight just fell off. And within the first 9 months, I would say, after she was born, I had not only lost all of the pregnancy weight, but I was down to what I was when I got married a couple of years before that. So then as time went on and over the next couple of years, my weight started to climb a little bit so that when I became pregnant the second time, I was at a higher initial weight. Once again, I gained a fair amount of weight during that pregnancy, and after it, did not take all of that weight off. And pregnancy number 3 comes along. So each time that I found out I was pregnant, I was starting out at a 20-ish pound jump from my previous pregnancies. After that third pregnancy, I experimented with different weight loss programs. I tried. I got a hold of the Atkins book, and this was before you could find Atkins products at every grocery store. It was back when you read the book and you were looking at very specific things. It was, you were eating real food. Okay. So I have to say that a lot of these programs back then, what they are now is not what they were then. Whatever you decide to do, focus on real food. Get away from the products that say they're perfect for such and such a program, because if you're depending on packaged items, then you're automatically going to be eating something that is more processed. And I really feel now, looking back, that the best thing that we can do is whatever approach you decide to take, focus on real food and be okay with getting in the kitchen, getting comfortable in your own skin as a cook. It doesn't have to be complicated, but look to those whole food options and don't get caught up in the hype about this product or that product being perfect for this diet program because you will get stuck on that hamster wheel, I like to call it. So I tried the Atkins program. I did Slim Fast. I cannot even tell you how many cases of Slim Fast drinks I went through. What else? Each thing that I tried, I did lose weight on. But for me, I knew deep down that something like these diet drinks, that these meal replacement drinks, first of all, they're super processed. If you were to pick up a can, you wouldn't be able to pronounce most of the things on it. And they can say all they want in the nutrition facts about what it supplies and, you know, the energy that it's going to give you. And, you know, these hyped up claims of how much you can lose and how fast. All right. I mean, just look at the name. They know exactly how to get to those who are struggling. So I've tried all of those different things. I've used all of those different things. And for a time, I made progress on attaining a particular number on the scale. That became the focus. That became the goal. If I was making progress down toward that number, I felt better about myself. If I wasn't, I cannot tell you how many nights I have laid my head down on the pillow and immediately just raked myself over the coals for what I didn't accomplish in this area of my life. And, you know, it really began to be an issue where while, you know, there may have been some discouragement from other sources, I was my own worst critic. And I know that people watching this can completely relate to that because I've talked to so many of you already. And you know what this is like. So weight continued to climb. And I would say around 2005, roughly 15 years ago, my husband came up with the idea that he wanted to do a century. He and I had both enjoyed cycling in the past, and he had done a century by himself. and he wanted to do it as a team. We weren't going to any organized event. We were going to plan our own route and train several months before we would go out and do this together. So it's around January of that year, and he presents this idea to me. And my first thought was, I don't know, I'm not in any shape for that. And, he was proposing that he would be my coach. And I wasn't feeling really confident about that, about him as my coach. But we set up our bicycles on stationary stands down in our basement and started pedaling away and following different programs that would up our endurance and our distance during those cold winter months. And come July or August of that year, we were ready to get out on the road, and we did it. But I had this nagging thought in my head that here we had spent from January all the way to August, I believe it was, training more and more intensely. My endurance had built up great. I understood something of that I could expect that as I built muscle, that my weight might not drop the way I would hope, but my weight didn't budge at all. Even though prior to that century, we were riding up to 70 miles at a time in one ride. So intense, a lot of hours of blood and sweat and and lung power and pedal power, and that number never moved on the scale. So I started to think, I wonder if I actually have something going on internally that is getting in the way of this. So I went to our physician and I told him all about it, and he did a thyroid panel, a conventional thyroid panel. I'll just leave it at that. We can talk about the ins and outs of that another time. But he did a thyroid panel, and I very soon after was put on a thyroid medication. And the thought was what was presented to me was that ought to take care of this. You should see your metabolism kick in and everything's going to be fine. So that's 15 coming up on 16 years ago. And my weight has been up and down and stagnant and climbed again. And I find myself now where I'm in the mid 200s now. And I've come face to face with some really important incentive to really do the homework to find out what is going to work for me, to not only slay that weight loss dragon that has seemed to elude me, but beyond that, way beyond that, I have come to the conclusion that when we really care about life and we want to live it in a vibrant, joyful, peaceful, strong, able way, it takes personal effort, mentally and physically, taking the time to do the homework, to do our own research, because there's such mixed information out there. What works for one person may very well not produce the same results, probably won't produce the same results in another person. You have to look at yourself as the unique creation that you are and start from there. And also, I think that I needed to finally get to the place where the golden egg wasn't the number on the scale. I had to finally get to the place where Although I realize that as I make positive changes that are actually most beneficial to my body, I am going to see that change, and that is what is happening now. That's super encouraging, but that can't be my idol, all right? My goal is to steward my life well in every way I possibly can, and obsessing over a number on a contraption in my bathroom was not a good place to be. So I just wanted to share a little bit more of what I've been through so that you know, as you're watching whatever I present on this channel, I've been there. I understand the discouragement. I understand um, how mysterious it is sometimes when we're trying everything we know how to do and we're not seeing that returned vitality. And we have this gut feeling that, wow, something's really off kilter. What have I done to myself? Am I ever going to be able to head back in a positive, healthy direction? And I have found some things over the last year. I feel like information has come at me, thank God, from several different directions that were independent of each other, but confirmed finally some things that had been on my radar a little bit for a while. Some of them I had tried already and seen some glimmers of hope. But I feel like over this last year, even in the middle of all of this current craziness, some really cool things have come together. And I just feel like there is so much reason for not only myself, but many of us to just really be hopeful for solid, lasting changes. That even I'm in my late 50s. Even at that, it's not too late to make some turnarounds and regain some ground. So I wanted to share that with you. I hope that's helpful. And I just want you to know we're in this together. If there's anything that I can do to encourage you, that is what I'm here for. That's what I want to be able to do. Again, I am not a medical professional. I am not a scientist. I'm just looking at information that's out there. I'm trying to be responsible in doing my own research and listening to voices of wisdom around me. And there are so many resources out there. There are studies out there. You know, we live in the age of information. It's not difficult to go online or still be able to get library resources. Wealth of videos here on YouTube from just some really stellar individuals who have done the work and are just showing that there is reason to hope and we can get back on track. So again, my focus personally, what is helping me tremendously is to put aside the conventional thought that low fat, sugar-free substitutes, all of that we've been so focused on in our culture for decades. It's time to put that aside and get back to really looking at healthy fats, whole foods. The question of, is all this grain that we've been eating truly healthy for us? And also the factor of really getting into a solid personal protocol of movement, not just for cardio health, but for regaining strength and range of motion and a clear mental focus, because movement, daily movement, regular movement, and body work is going to do a wonderful positive number on your mindset too. And that is critical. So I share that with you in hopes that it's encouraging to you, that we just can relate to one another in beautiful, helpful ways in the days ahead. And I will see you next time. I believe next time up, I will be sharing with you just some simple very easy to put together meals that fall into that more keto model. Again, I am also following OMAD, which is a way of just crunching your eating window down into about 4 to 6 hour period of the day, and just let your body rest, your digestion do its job, and stay hydrated the rest of the time. And I'll talk about that more in the days ahead too. That's kind of the approach that I'm taking, and I am so excited at the fruit of it. So I'll be sharing with you some simple whole food, just really easy to put together, but delicious and healthy meal ideas that follow that model. I will be sharing with you more as I go on endurance and strength training and resistance training as I learn, because again, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to share with you my experience and show you the fruit that I'm experiencing in it. And I just think that when we can see that, when we can actually see it happening in another person's life, it can create those aha moments for someone else, and that encouragement that maybe, just maybe, they can try some new things that they haven't thought of before and see progress too. So blessings to each of you. I will see each one of you again very, very soon, and go flourish in the meantime. Take care.